welcome to the Gaming Coop, the best space to talk about games that are just weird. Let's introduce today's players. Player 1, it's all ogre now, it's Matt.
Hi.
Player 2, very excited to announce our special guest here tonight, the acting chairman of the Justice-Seeking Victims of Foreskin Theft Committee. It's Anthony.
Bro.
When will they return what is rightly ours?
Player 3 is a semi-aquatic egg-laying mammal of action. It's Gabe.
I wish.
Player 4, my game is something Gabe has never heard of. Oh yeah, he's writing my intro. It's Chris. And Player 5, coming to you live from Barnabas Farm. It's our favorite farmer with an iridium quality cuteness rating. It's Kelcie.
The word was iridium, wasn't it?
Yes.
The word was,
yeah. Yes, it was. It was just like, I saw it, I was just like, panic. Panic.
What if you had to guess how would you have pronounced it without having the phonetic?
Like iridium, like with the ER.
Yeah, no, iridium. That's fine. That works too.
I didn't think of iridium.
I thought you were gonna be like iridium or something like.
I guess I could have like just bullshitted my way through it, but but I have a history of mispronouncing things on the show, so
it's true. That is absolutely true. Good.
The Pecunias. Welcome everyone. Unfortunately, Walsh could not make it, but we wish him well. He will be back. Thank you all so much for joining us. And once again, we're still doing shit. If I look at my watch and I look outside, yes, the world's still on fire, and we're still asking people to donate to abortion funds and send them our way. So I just want to remind everyone about that. So tweet at us at the Gaming Coop with your receipt if you donate to an abortion fund. We will shout you out on the show, and tweet at Walsh Animation so you can get involved in the big seg as well. Today, we are talking about weird games. Bizarre games, I think was how I phrased it. Games that we don't maybe love or hate. We just find weird, maybe in the best way, maybe in the worst way. I don't know. I know for me it's in the best way. But I cannot wait to talk to you all about your weird games. And we're going to start down at the swamp. And we're going to go to Shrek 2. For what platforms again, Matt?
PS2, GameCube, Xbox.
There you go. Well, Matt, our resident Shrek, please take it away.
I thought love was only true in fairy tales. Meant for someone else, but not for me. I'm stopping there. It's under 30 seconds. It's fine. Alright, so for the viewing audience, I just finished a production where I played the titular ogre himself in Shrek the Musical. So I have a very fresh perspective on this franchise as a whole, and the Shrek 2 video game especially, which I played the hell out of when I was a kid. Shrek 2 is the movie tie-in game to Shrek 2. And it's not the weirdest thing in the world, but you get a general sense of weirdness just in general from it being Shrek.
Of course.
And you kind of play through a lot of stuff from the movie, but it's adjusted a little bit to kind of like make it make sense in a video game setting. Basically, all of the levels are depicted as chapters of a storybook because it's Shrek. That's what they do. And then each level kind of has its own thing. Each level has 4 playable characters, because it's one of those games where like you could play it with 4 people if you had 4 controllers, for that console. And each character has like their own general capabilities. Shrek, Donkey, Fiona, Puss in Boots, all those characters are there. And then some characters like the Big Bad Wolf and Gingerbread Man, who aren't super big characters in the movie. I guess Gingy kind of is, but kind of get a spotlight in the video game.
Definitely a big character in the movie is Gingerbread Man.
Well, that's a different character. That's Gingy's friend. I think Mondo.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Is his name? Yeah.
Mongo.
Wow, Chris, you're such
Mongo.
a plebe.
Listen,
Mongo. Yes, Mongo.
Been multiple decades.
Yeah. So you kind of go through the story. I would say the most iconic levels to me are the ones that have Shrek, Donkey, and Puss in Boots. Just because I think that they're the best the best laid out levels. Because they all kind of like I said, each character has their own special ability. For me, they're the triangle button ability because you have to press the triangle button to use them. Shrek can pick things up and put them down and or throw things. Donkey has a special thing called the Burrow Blast, which he just kind of fucks things up with. And then Puss in Boots can climb on tightrope things. I guess they're just called tightropes. And it makes for some really good platforming. Also, every level has something called hero time, and each character has a hero time. With I think the only one getting multiple being Shrek himself, which makes sense.
Sure.
And it's just like it's a special thing either in the middle of the level or the end of the level where the character gets just like a special feature. I think the strangest level in the game, and one that really isn't like part of the movie, is Jack and Jill's farm, where the three little pigs are there, and they have the worst German accents that you've ever heard, but they are watching over the farm for Jack and Jill, and you need to complete tasks around the farm. Some of the tasks that you need to complete is, if I can remember correctly, I played this a little bit ago, like a few weeks ago when I got cast.
Sure.
One is like this chicken coop mini game where chickens are literally like pooping out eggs, and you have to move the basket like in the right timing so that the eggs fall in the basket, and whoever gets the most eggs wins. Gingy's hero time is like running by these giant ass tomatoes, kind of platforming around them.
Sure.
There's a Jack and the Beanstalk based boss fight. There's a lot of weird stuff. But I always remember Jack and Jill's farm being the most memorable just because of the weird stuff there. There's also a prison break level where you have to, like in the movie, where you have to break the gang out of prison. And this one is notable because for some reason they decided not to make Pinocchio a playable character, even though Pinocchio has the most famous part in that scene where he's like, he has to tell a lie, so they tell him to say something like, say I'm wearing women's underwear, and then he says I'm wearing women's underwear, and his nose doesn't grow.
Right.
Because that was funny in 2004.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, it's stupid.
But instead, they put this random-ass fairy character in, who's, like, not in the movie. They're literally just a fairy when they could have had Pinocchio.
Is she voiced by Tara Strong?
Yes.
Is it the exposition butterfly?
Not the expedition butterfly. It was a fairy, explicitly
fairy,
not a butterfly.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
So they did not have, like... There was really no good reason not to have the Pinocchio in, or was it copyright reasons?
I don't know, because like they use Pinocchio enough, and Pinocchio appears like as like a little bit of a cameo. I don't know why it would be copyright reasons.
Because I'm just thinking, like, would like someone from like Disney just be like, that's our Pinocchio or whatever the fuck? Because like you know how like now, like right now there's a bunch of Pinocchio movies being made because like the copyright's almost up, and like
right,
and like Disney just wants to like Disney's trying to remake one, and then there's that really bad one from Lionsgate, and then there's another one being made. Like
Father.
When can I be on my own? I have the whole world to see.
So I was just curious if like maybe someone some weird lawyer at Disney was just kind of like, you can't put Pinocchio in it, even though it's just like, wait a second.
Maybe that's the reason. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, it's weird.
To 100% the game, there's these objectives called snapshots, and there's about 7 per level, and they're most of them are like done just by completing the story. But one that's really difficult is the 12 magic beans. And there are 12 magic beans hidden throughout each level, and you have to find them. And I swear to God, that is the hardest part of the game. The second hardest part of the game is the final boss fight against Fairy Godmother.
Sure.
Because it is a 4-phase fight, and if you die at any point, you have to start again at the beginning.
Oh, that
and
sucks.
her moves in the last section do about a half of your health bar. So you really have like 8 lives between the 4 characters, because if a character goes down at any point, you automatically switch to another character. You can switch between characters at any point and to do like their own specific thing, and it's really well designed in that way, actually.
Sure.
But I was playing it yesterday and I got mad, so I was like, oh, I'll just beat it tomorrow, and then I didn't play it today. So
So you're just like,
I didn't end up beating it, but it's fine. The movie scene is better, of course.
Yeah.
One of the best sequences in any movie
They
is the "I Need a Hero" sequence.
Right, like, and what's the status of the song during that final boss sequence?
It's not "I Need a Hero."
Okay, is it good at least though?
It's
Generic.
no, it's generic.
It's actually called Holding Out for a Hero.
Holding out for a hero. Sorry,
is that actually the name of it?
Yes.
it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought Gabe
Yeah.
was just being like, yeah, that's
No.
it's changed the name. Oh wow.
All right. To end my segment,
Mhm.
unless anyone else has any commentary on Shrek 2 or the game, I know I didn't like provide much screenshots or anything, but
No,
if anyone else
no.
has anything to say right now,
I've not played it. I used to be a connoisseur.
Connoisseur.
Connoisseur. There, damn it, Christopher! You pronounced iridium correctly, and then that tripped you up.
Listen, I'm just trying my best here, all right? I used to be a connoisseur of movie games, of enjoying those movies, just dumb movie and like TV video games when I was younger. And somehow Shrek 2 just passed me by. So
Are you sure?
I never played.
I
Shrek 2.
remember having the cartridge.
Maybe we had it on Game Boy. I don't think I played
Yeah.
a whole lot. I don't think I played a whole lot of it because I have like zero memory of it though. But I did not play.
I am explicitly talking about the
Console
PS2 version.
Yeah.
Console version.
Yeah, I
All
did not,
right.
I definitely did not have the console version. But but granted, I feel like if I think about when I've gone over to friends' houses, I was younger,
house.
What?
Just kidding.
Oh.
I'm just
Wow.
kidding. I'm implying
Wow.
that you only had one friend.
Wow. Excuse me. I feel like I've probably seen the game in console form there, but I don't think we played it at all. So this was definitely something I missed out on.
Oh my
No,
god!
that
What-
is not.
what happened. What's happening?
That is not the fairy I was referring to, Anthony.
Can someone please explain what is
Sorry,
happening for the audio?
I didn't mean
purposes?
to cut in. I thought that you were wrapping up your point. I didn't want to interrupt.
What did you just post, Anthony? For audio
Danny
purposes?
DeVito as a fairy.
So, I just wanted to illustrate for myself what he was talking about, and I was browsing through the screenshots of Shrek 2 game on Google Images.
Sure.
And I was like, oh man, I love when games used to be like these movie adaptations, and yeah, they kind of followed a template, but it was a really satisfying kind of gameplay experience.
Sure, yeah.
And then I found Roy the save game fairy. And you know what? I love Roy. I'm going to say it. What a wonderful addition to the game.
Here's the thing, Anthony. He's not from Shrek 2. The Shrek 2 game.
He's
Really?
he's an original property that they just came up with?
No, he's not in the Shrek 2 game. That's from a different Shrek game, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Aw, he's so
Aw.
sad.
I'm sorry.
Way to go,
It
Ben.
says Wiki Shrek. It's the Shrek 2 PC game.
Oh,
so
there you go.
it's something complete. So I.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Yes, today I found out there is a PC version of Shrek 2 that is different from the console and Game Boy version.
It's like Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Yes,
Jesus
It actually
Christ.
looks worse graphics-wise.
I agree.
Oh, no.
Oh my god.
I'm Roy, your safe fairy.
Anyone else before Mech closes? Does anyone else have any comment on Shrek 2?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite character to play as was Fiona because she literally had bullet time.
Ah.
Yes.
That's fancy schmancy. Cool.
All right. I'm going to now do my top 10 list. God damn it.
Kelcie, can you please describe what you just posted for the podcast?
Please.
It's the close up of Shrek, and I wrote when Anthony farts, but then feels the sauce.
Thank you, Kelcie.
I should have warned you guys ahead of time. From here on out, whenever you guys post an image on Discord, I'm calling you the fuck out. Right?
That's fair. That's fair.
just letting you know, because we had the document for a reason. Anyways, go ahead, Matt.
All right, here's my top 10 list of Shrek characters to play as in the Shrek 2 video game.
Sure.
Number 10, Fairy. Their special power is you can lift enemies into the air. In the one level she's playable in, I never used her. She kind of sucks.
Okay.
Number 9, Dragon. Only appears in Donkey's Hero Time in level 2, but the level is fun, and Dragon is a very cool character, so it's above Fairy for that. Number 8, Big Bad Wolf. His special power is he can blow things really hard.
Same.
And it's good for like some like puzzle things. But that's about it. Number 7 is Human Shrek and Horse Donkey. They are one character. Shrek rides around on Donkey. Sure. He is good because he can like charge, and he's really good in combat.
Sure.
Number 6, sorry Gabe, is Fiona. Fiona would be higher if she was playable in more levels, but she's only playable in the first 3, and then the final boss, she does get bullet time. It's very cool. Number 5, Gingerbread Man. He can jump high, and he has a ranged attack with his candy cane. It's pretty nice.
Nice.
Number 4, Little Red. She has a ranged, as in Little Red Riding Hood. She has a ranged attack where she throws apples, and it cheeses like any boss fight that she is in because she can just keep throwing apples and not get damaged. Number 3, Shrek. He picks things up and puts them down.
Yeah.
Number 2, Donkey. My favorite character to do combat with. He's just a lot of fun, and the Burrow Blast is fun. And then, of course, number 1, the greatest Shrek character, Puss in Boots.
You could make the argument just in general that Puss in Boots is among the best Shrek characters.
Puss in Boots is one of the best characters ever designed, and I'm tired of pretending that he's not.
Yeah, truly. Also, Anthony, I need you to describe the image caption that you just posted.
Yes, I just shared an image of the Shrek 2 PlayStation controller, and I wrote your controller when you come over my house.
I fucking hate you so much. That was so good. Oh, God.
And before that, I posted an image, and it is Fiona from Shrek, and she's blushing a little bit, and she has her finger like, huh. And I wrote the caption when Kelcie notices the sauce.
Okay, listen, your interpretation of what Fiona is looking, like how she looks, is a lot different than my interpretation
She's
of how
like,
she looks. No, she's not.
She's like me looking at like the
No.
double bacon and cheese from Macca's.
Well, that's what causes the sauce to begin with, so we gotta stop
Okay.
that.
Oh,
But she's not blushing. That's just her makeup. And she looks disgusted. That is a wrinkled, like, ew face, not a like, oh, the sauce. Like, what? Like, who would do that? You absolute
With all due
nut.
respect, there are not enough polygons to tell what her expression is.
Right, that's fair, but
Kind of
it's
like the
not.
Mona Lisa.
But it's not like, ooh, he shat himself. Like, what? Like,
I feel like we're learning a lot about Anthony and maybe Kelcie today.
no, just about
Extended
Anthony.
lore.
All right. Well, that's Shrek 2.
Anyway, watch Shrek 2 and then watch Shrek the musical and then like watch Just Who I'd Be like 3 more times.
Fair enough. All right, that's your homework. Everyone. All right. Next up. Nintendo has a history of being weird. Very much so. That's for the good and the bad. I love when they make weird games, but this weird game I have not played. It's Wario Land 4. Anthony, tell me about it.
Wow.
Wow.
So when I was younger, I remember that I tried playing the original Wario Land games, and they were so magical and mystical, but I was too young to really understand what was happening. So in enters Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance. You could finally see what was going on now that it had like the full color spectrum available to it.
Shots at the Game Boy, huh? Wow.
It was tough back then. And the game just like grabbed me immediately and just sucked me right into it. And you don't really realize how weird things are until you look at them in retrospect sometimes. And I think that fits the bill with Wario Land 4. So it starts off with Wario in his pink convertible driving to a pyramid in the jungle that was discovered recently and is said to contain lots of treasure. And he gets in and he falls into the pyramid, and there are these 4 different wings of the pyramid, and when you go into each wing, you get sucked into a painting, and each wing has its own theme to it. One of them is kind of like this nature themed, another is themed around children's toys, and then there's like a machinery theme and a horror theme. And the levels are really creative. Each level is kind of different in its own right while still staying true to the overall theming of it. And there are all these different enemies, and they do all different kinds of things to Wario, like set him on fire or give him a incredible allergic reaction that makes him kind of like turn into a balloon and float around. Or turn him into a zombie or a vampire bat or all this silly stuff. And Wario never dies. He just rolls with it. But my favorite part of each level is that hidden around somewhere in the platformer is a CD. And the CDs are incredibly weird.
CD's nuts. Sorry.
CD's nuts, yeah. They like have these little like gifts associated with them that are like 2 frames, and sometimes it's in people in Wario costumes. Other times it's like these props that had a weird Photoshop filter applied to them. And the songs are just strange. There's no other way to describe them. Some of them are just like 2 minutes of ambiance followed by carnival music. Others are like overlapping clock sounds building to like this crescendo. And others are like actual songs, and they're really fucking good to listen to. But when I was a kid, I paired the songs and the weird images that they're associated with, and I created horror stories in my head theming around the songs and the images. And I still remember some of them. Maybe it would be better to talk about that in like a music coop or something, but there's really no explanation for it. It's just strange. Like one of the song titles, let me get them for you, is So Sleepy, and it's somebody who's snoring and shit keeps waking them up only for them to go back to sleep, and like a door slams and they wake up, or a dog starts barking. Another is a fly just buzzing around and making noise. There's the avocado song, which I think is best left unexplained. And after you get through all of the levels, you finally unlock the golden path. And actually, sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. At the end of each path's painting levels, you run into a shopkeeper selling you things like a bomb disguised as an apple or a really loud horn. And you fight a boss that's kind of related to the levels that you've been going through. Like the mechanical one is this grandfather cuckoo clock that has a bird inside of it, like a real bird. And you'd play these weird little mini games. Like the Google Dinosaur game is a game in Wario Land. Of course it's Wario themed, but you get these little coins that get you these little damage buffs to help you with the boss. But anyway, once you're done with all of the bosses, you finally unlock the middle of the pyramid. And once you get to the middle, you see the Golden Diva, right? And in the background are chests that you unlock from the previous boss battles. If you speedrun them, you can collect all those chests. And if you beat this boss in time, you save all of them. But if you take too long, they start disappearing. After you damage the Golden Diva enough, her mask gets knocked off and she shows you her true form. It is one of the scariest things I experienced when I was a child, and I really did not like this boss.
Jesus.
Anyway, after you kill the Golden Diva and steal all of the golden treasure, you find that this little black cat that's been following you around all game is actually a princess who has never showed up in the games again, apparently. But, yeah, anyway, Wario has a love interest, and he found her in this pyramid.
I wonder if she likes garlic as much as he does.
You know what? Maybe that's why she never showed up again.
I mean, there is something special with her, but
ooh, tell us if you have that information.
The amount of treasure chests that you collect, it changes the ending. So at the end of the game, if you have like very minimal treasure chests, like it changes her appearance when she gives him a kiss. So let's say the maximum treasure chests you can collect. She's a very pretty princess, and she gives Wario a kiss on the cheek. However, it progressively gets uglier and uglier the less chests you have, and the worse if you have 0 chests by the end of the game, she's literally just a female Wario.
Wow.
Amazing.
Also, they made it baby. She can be a little baby.
No.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
It's weird.
That's a weird one.
That's awful.
Is she
The
still
last
a
one
love
I
interest
posted
as
is
a
her true
baby?
form. I don't know. I don't know.
I
how
hope
that-
It looks
not.
like she wants to kiss. That's weird.
Oh no!
That's a weird
That's
one.
not.
No.
Nintendo
They
made it weird.
Synchro.
That's so interesting that they introduced a princess and then just dropped her. Apparently she was a spirit in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then that was it.
So he killed her?
I don't know. We could make that assumption.
Well, she became a spirit.
Yeah. I would imagine, here's the thing. This is my bold prediction for life, alright? I think we're gonna get another Wario game at some point. And I think it's gonna be I think we're gonna get another Wario platformer at some point. That's my prediction. I would imagine that because they have this princess just sitting here and they're not doing anything with it, maybe did they bring her back? Because they did bring what's her face back from in Odyssey, Pauline, after like a hiatus for a long time. So like, I don't know. That's interesting to learn that there is someone new, but also maybe the problematic nature of her being a baby and maybe kissing Wario. Maybe they don't want to bring that up again. So I don't know. There's a lot to dissect, I guess, on that front.
What is this that you just posted, Anthony?
This is her spirit in Smash Ultimate.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Wario Land definitely is another one of those platformers that I have tried a few versions of and just never got far in any of them. I feel like if I ever pick it up again, it's gonna probably be like the Shake It one that was on the Wii, because I heard that was very good. But no, this sounds very bizarre, but also seems like this game was a lot of fun. I vaguely remember you actually talking to I'm guessing it was off podcast, because I was looking through some of the episodes just now, and it did seem like you talked about it. I think that you were telling me and Kelcie about how there was this like catalog of songs that you were referring to, of like that were some of them have making like weird noises, and you associate horror stories in your mind to it. Like I do remember you told me about that before, and that is like that's like really interesting and really fun like lore to add to this game for me to associate that now. But yeah, no, like it's I want them. I would love I would love Nintendo to do more with Wario than they already do. I know WarioWare is still like they still come out with those, but like it'd be fun to see another like platformer, especially 2D platformer from them on the Wario front, because I think that would be a lot of fun to embrace the weird like they tend to do in these games. Anyone else have experience or want to talk about Wario Land 4?
I feel like
Wah.
Princess Shakora. Yes, wah. I feel like Princess Shakora does look like a garlic girly. Speaking as a garlic girly, I feel like she would be into the garlic.
Yeah.
So I feel like she was murdered.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
The game is incredibly short. Like, you can beat it in just a couple hours.
Because then he had to go on the lam.
Wow.
Because Princess Sakura went missing. Trigger warning,
the game's
DV.
short.
Yeah. But but that's good to hear though that it's short. So maybe I can pick it up at some point and just play through it.
It does have a speedrunning element to it as well. Like, after you beat each level, it sets off a frog bomb.
Yes.
And you have to escape the level before it all explodes, so...
That's
I like that aspect, too.
That's why I loved about the little bit that I played of Wario Land Shake It. I had a lot of fun, like, when you'd reach the end of the level. I'm guessing this was an aspect of all Wario Land games.
No, it started in Wario Land 4.
Oh, it did start. Okay, because Wario Land Shake It, where it is like you reach the end, you pick up the thing, and all of a sudden, like sirens go off. Then maybe something comes chasing after you, but ultimately you just have to rush your way back to the start of the level. Like, it's a really creative concept for a platformer that I wish was implemented in more places. There you go. Anyone else have anything to say? Then we shall move on. Gabe, you're going to talk about a game that seems like it would have been incredibly my shit if I played more on my PSP. So, what is Archer Maclean's Mercury?
Alright, so this game has no story. It's purely a puzzle game. Archer Maclean's Mercury is a physics puzzle game in which you control a little bead of mercury across several stages with many different gimmicks. It's physics-based, so some stages have you split the bead of mercury into multiple pieces, and you have to control and tilt the stage to maneuver them in such a way where you can get to the goal, or you can touch the finish pad, and then you can finish the level. Throughout the game, there are different gimmicks, like conveyor belts, dye machines where you can color your mercury to a different combination of colors, and you can also combine different colors to make special colors. So, like, let's say green and yellow and blue makes green mercury. So, and green, red, and yellow mercury together makes silver mercury. So, like, you have to think about what you can do to combine those colors correctly to get to the goal. This game has a lot of stages. They're pretty much like less than 30 seconds each if you know what you're doing, and it's a time-based game. So the less time you can finish a stage, the better score you'll get. And it's also percentage-based. So if you lose a bit of mercury, the percentage you have left also affects your score. So if you have 50% or below, you'll fail the stage. But if you have 50 or above, you get a bonus score, and the higher percentage you have, the bigger the bonus is.
Yeah, I watched, I think it was like the opening levels of the game on YouTube. It legitimately, like, first of all, the mercury moving around is so satisfying. It's like this blob that just kind of sloshes around on the stage, and you're just kind of like trying to lead it in a specific direction. It seemed like it would have been like a really great Wii game, or even like a DS game where like you have the built-in motion, and like you just tilt the Wii remote or tilt the DS in a specific direction. Like, that would have been a really cool concept. I think I guess they just decided to make this a PSP exclusive.
Fun fact: there is a Wii game.
There is a Wii game. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But was it specifically this, or was it something different?
It was this. It just went by a different title. So the Wii game went by Mercury Meltdown, and it changed from Archer Maclean's Mercury to that, and the series rebranded from there.
Okay, is it just referred to as Mercury as a series now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and then seeing like the different, like, how you're maneuvering around, and having like the one person I was watching kind of kept on struggling with like trying to figure out how to combine their mercury into specific colors. And it was just really fascinating to watch. There was also like a boss level too, where you're getting chased by something and you have to kind of make sure it doesn't eat up the Mercury. It seems like it was a really creative game. That it just does remind me of like the Wii era of just here's a interesting concept, of in terms of when it comes to like video games in general. That's not going to blow anyone away, but that's just like, hey, you're going to have a good time with this. So yeah, I'm into this. Anyone else have comments on Archer Maclean's Mercury?
This is so cool looking. There is a little part of my brain that activates whenever you get to color things. And that part is just like rapid fire right now. I just watched somebody paint it yellow and then blue. And I'm like, oh man, that is so cool.
Yeah, there's like a satisfaction to it.
I'm sorry if I missed this, because I was listening, but my cat was also getting sick. But did you explain why it's associated with that person's name? And, like, why did they just drop it?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, all right. So I just wanted to, like, make sure that I didn't miss something, because I'm wondering who this person is.
Yeah, he is a British game programmer. It looks like he was the director of the game. It doesn't. I don't know why the decision was made to drop his name or not. I mean, it looks like he worked on Arthur Maclean's Mercury in 2005. Then he worked on a game called Wheelspin in 2009. I don't see anything else that he has.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, that he's
good enough
worked
for
on
me.
since then.
Just want to make sure that I didn't miss something.
Yeah, he's around, I guess. But yeah, cool game. I like it. It is definitely like, it's definitely a weird game in the sense of like what is going on with it, but like I don't know. I think this is like definitely like the outside of the ones that I've already played, definitely like the one game on this list where I'm just like, I would sink so many hours into this and fall in love with it. I think
it's a very good game. It's very tightly designed.
Yeah, exactly. All right, there you go. Before we get to our special mid-seg, let me tell you about our sponsors. It has been 2 years since we started Team Chaos Productions, and we would not be where we are today without the help of Anchor. You've heard us talk about it all the time, but let me remind you, this completely free platform gives creators the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your computer or phone. Once done, Anchor will distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more so you don't have to. You can also make some money on the episodes with no minimum listenership. It's everything you'd ever want in a podcasting platform, so download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Happy podcasting.
Football is back, and so are the Virtual Ball Boys.
Each week, two dudes who have zero experience playing the sport give their analysis of what is happening in the NFL, from weekly recaps to predictions for the weeks to come.
But for Season 3, we're going bigger than ever before.
We'll also have episodes dedicated to the Virtual Ball Boys Football League, our tabletop roleplay game where teams filled with classic animation and video game characters clash on the gridiron. You can find us on Anchor or wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you tune in.
Good night and good ball.
Hey, welcome back. We are now going into a mid-seg. Now, of course, as we said, Welsh is not here. The man who tends to be on the verge of just destroying us with his mid-segs. But we have someone else who's stepping in his role, and her name is Kelcie.
Thank you. These are massive shoes to fill. For those of us who know Walsh in person as a friend, the feet on that man are just, it's incredible. It's wow. So, you know, I'm filling gargantuan shoes. Really the largest I've ever seen. And I know what he'll say. He'll be like, you know, what they say about big shoes. And yes, his feet are fucking massive. But anyway, the mid-segment
You're getting
is
the
going
wiki
to
feed
be...
people really fascinated.
I know, that's okay. Well, now, so it's at Walsh Animation.
No.
And if
not
you
right. I didn't even think of that.
slide into his DMs, you know, he'll do pretty much anything for a gig. So
But also send him an abortion donation.
abortion donation first,
Yeah.
feet pics later.
Don't send him the donation. Send him the screenshot for your donation.
That's
Yes.
true. That's
But
true.
then-
He's not taking the money.
He'll match his OnlyFans contributions to whatever your abortion donation was.
I don't know if I want. Okay, all right, that's fine.
Listen, nobody listens to us. We have no audience, so this is completely fine.
Fair enough.
Anyway, I'm not going to give you the name of where I pulled this information from for the mid-seg until the end so that nobody cheats. Not that I don't trust everybody here, but I don't trust everybody here. So, you're going to get the credit for where I pulled this information after, but we are playing. I'm going to show you a series of picks, and you have to pick which one's... No, I'm just kidding. Walsh's feet. So we're going to do... We're going to do a mid-seg that is weird video game trivia. So this is possibly not well-known information, but everybody here tends to be a gaming knowledge super freak, so very well may be the case that some of you know some of this. But I'm essentially going to give you a question. There's no points. We're all on the same team here. Where you all get to work together to try and see what this information is. No Googling. We're going to do the trust system. And it is 7 questions. And we're going to see if you guys can go 7 for 7, okay?
All right.
All right.
Collaborative.
All right. So, the first question. And I will tell you you'll know when I'm done answering the question. Please wait until the full question is asked in case you know.
Okay.
Following World War II through 2004, South Korea banned Japanese cultural imports. However, South Korean gamers still got to enjoy Nintendo games under a rebranded console. Under what name was the NES published in South Korea?
I know.
Go ahead.
IQ.
No.
IQ. No.
Nope.
Was it?
I literally just said that.
Was it Famicom?
Nope.
No, Famicom is what it was in Japan. I know that. I'm pretty sure that Samsung was the one who made it, but I don't remember the name of the console itself.
So I will tell you that it is not Samsung, but it
Okay.
is a well-known brand manufacturer, but not who I would have ever thought did gaming consoles or anything other than what I know them for, and what probably most people know them for.
Is it? Now I have Samsung in my brain, so now I'm just gonna think like TVs. So LG.
Mm-mm.
Was it It wasn't Mitsubishi.
I will let everybody give a guess, and then for the sake of time, I'm just gonna call it, and then I'll tell you guys the answer.
Could you? I would be curious about. Would a hint give it away? Like a hint.
It depends on what like the hint is.
Like,
I mean,
could
I
you
can
tell us what industry that they are in usually.
Oh yes, cars.
Okay, so Matt was on the right track. Okay.
I'm sorry. What did Matt say? I missed it.
Mitsubishi.
It is not Mitsubishi, no.
Okay, because I knew they also did technology stuff.
And this is, I think, is Mitsubishi not Japan?
They are Japan.
So this
Yeah.
is South Korea, and Japan
Korea.
cultural
Okay.
imports were banned during the time, which is why they had to come up with their own.
So that rules out Toyota because I think that's Japan as well.
That's also Japan. I don't know any Korean car brands.
Yeah, I had to think about that. What
I'm
other-
fine with forfeiting because I can't think of the name of the console either.
Yeah, I don't.
Even if we got the brand name right.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I
Whatever
do
you guys
not
want to
know.
do. There's 7 of them, so you have other options. You'll have other guesses for other
Yeah,
things.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't have this one. I'll forward
All right.
it.
Yeah, sake
So-
for time. Yep.
So the answer is the Hyundai Comboy. Comboy.
That's really interesting.
Yes. And there was some information about do I still have it open? I don't. Anyway, I'm going to tell you guys who I got all this information from one article, so I'll give the article name at the end so that the person is credited with the information.
Perfect.
Question
Hyundai
2.
Comboy, okay.
Many of the Koopalings in Super Mario games are named after famous musicians, which is something I did not know, by the way. What creature in Super Mario World is named Reznor after Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails?
I know.
Go ahead.
The Rhino mini boss on the 4 blocks.
Wow.
It is named in the article as a fire-breathing triceratops, but I'm assuming that it's probably the same thing and you're just describing it differently than they did.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very nice. Good job.
Very good.
Cool.
Apparently,
Gets a point.
yeah. Well, well, it's collaborative. Nobody gets individual points, but yes,
Walsh
by the end
us
of
against
this,
each other. Kelsey's just like, let's work together.
I am. This is collaborative. I said that in the beginning because I'm not Walsh. My feet are smaller than his, and this is not. This is not
Make you
something-
competitive. Kelcie said it here.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly the thing.
The fact that Walsh is gonna come back to feet being
He
a bit
knows.
for him.
So this is Walsh is like my second younger brother, and he knows that I will come for him with any opportunity I have, and he does the same thing to me. So it's fine. We have this relationship. Interestingly, the other names that were mentioned for famous musicians are Ludwig, Iggy, and Lemmy as different names of Koopalings, which I was again unaware of. Also, Trent Reznor did the soundtrack for Quake. As another little fun tip.
Iggy being for Iggy Azalea, obviously.
Oh yes, of course, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
'Cause
game that
she's-
came out the year Iggy Azalea was
Was
probably
born. Right, exactly. Anyway, next question. What was the first video game played in space in 1993?
I'm gonna guess Pong.
Okay, it's a good guess. It's wrong, but it's a good guess.
Tetris?
That's also what I was gonna say. The one thing I know about like first thing in space is that I know that Silly Putty was in space, but that's not a video game.
That isn't, but Gabe just said Tetris. That is the right
All right,
answer.
that makes sense.
Oh.
That makes
The
sense.
Game Boy version of Tetris.
Damn right. Good shit.
Very good. Okay, give me one quick second because I just got to plug my headphones in so that they don't die. But in the meantime, question 4. In which Game Boy title did players encounter opium smugglers, but due to Nintendo's censorship guidelines, instead of selling opium, the smugglers peddled bananas?
Can I say this before Gabe does?
Yeah, sure.
Mother 3.
No.
It was
Wait,
a
Did
good-
they
it was a
peddle
good guess.
bananas in Mother 3?
I don't know.
Can you,
I don't know enough about Mother 3,
could
but
you restate it? Restate
I
the
can,
question?
absolutely. In which Game Boy title, so it is a Game Boy game,
Okay.
did players encounter opium smugglers, but due to Nintendo's censorship guidelines, instead of selling opium, the smugglers peddled bananas? And I can give you a hint if you do not know.
I feel like this is gonna be some obscure like third-party game.
I feel like the hint I can give you will help clarify what Matt just said, but will not necessarily give it away.
Sure.
So you let me know.
I'll take the hint.
Yeah, let's get the hint.
Okay. The hint is that the game is a part of a massive, really well-known franchise, but it is one of the first actual games.
Is it a known Nintendo property?
Give me a quick second to Google this, because I don't know. I'm gonna say no, and it is also not a like Nintendo exclusive series.
No, just
Okay.
yeah, just curious.
I mean, I go to like GTA, but GTA didn't start on the Game Boy.
I do not know if this
Chinatown
started
Wars
on
was
the
like
Game
a few
Boy.
years after it initially launched.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think they would censor that stuff necessarily. What were you guys saying?
I'm trying to think.
I'm going to guess Conker's Adventure.
That is incorrect.
That is a really fucking good guess, though. Holy shit.
Thank you.
I can give you another hint if you should need.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. I want to make sure I don't give you too much of a hint. This particular franchise has over a dozen game titles in it as of today.
Wow.
This particular game is one of the first 3 or 4 that came out.
Is it a Final
For the
Fantasy
series.
game?
It is absolutely a Final Fantasy. Would you like to know which one?
Oh.
Oh.
Wow.
Final
Which-
Fantasy
Okay.
Adventure?
Wait.
It was Final Fantasy Legend 2.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, I would not have gotten
Yeah,
that.
I've never heard of that before.
And they, because of the censorship, they had to change the opium to bananas,
Makes sense.
which I think is
Cool.
quite funny. Okay. Question number 5. Which Star video game character shares its name with the gene and protein that separates your right brain from the left?
Pikachu. It's either Pikachu or Sonic.
Sorry.
Both had brain, or both had like body parts.
Which Star video game character shares its name with the gene and protein that separates your right brain from the left?
Pikachu sounds familiar on this one.
Pikachu, or like, yeah. I mean, the part of the brain is called the corpus callosum, but I don't know what the protein and the gene is. Because I want to say Pikachu because of like the electric impulses from it.
Right.
Does anybody else want to say anything?
Yeah. I don't have anything.
Okay, Go Cubs did say it.
So it's either Pikachu or Sonic.
I
Do you
think
wanna-
I'm gonna.
Is it Sonic Hedgehog?
Yes, it is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay.
Which,
Okay.
which Matt did say.
So cool.
So Sonic the Hedgehog, and it's that the researcher who named the gene did so by taking inspiration from the Sonic comic book that his 6-year-old daughter was reading at the time, and the gene itself has a spiky appearance.
That's it.
So it's named, and so the gene is categorized with the initials SHH, which stands for Sonic the Hedgehog. And so, but this factoid was started with the sentence "Sonic is inside of us all," and I thought that just really stood out to me as being like, yes, this is for the Weird Coop. All right, you got 2 more, guys. 2
All right.
more.
All right.
2 video games that launched in the UK in the early 2000s both featured scratch and sniff discs, where players could smell something related to the games upon scratching. Hold on. When scratching one disc, players could smell the pitch, quote unquote, while the other disc delivered a authentic pit stop smell, quote unquote.
Huh.
What were the 2 video games?
All right, first one sounded like FIFA.
That is correct. It was FIFA 2001.
Hence, because pitch is what they called the field. Thank you, Ted Lasso.
Pit stop.
Pit
Is
stop.
is that Crazy Taxi?
No.
Okay.
No, could be some sort of racing game.
Pit stop.
Anthony, any idea?
Like Gran Turismo, maybe?
Yes.
Hey,
It was
Ah.
Gran
Hey.
Turismo 2. So these both came out with a scratch and sniff disc
Perfect.
Wow.
in the early
Good stuff.
2000s. Okay, last question, guys. One of the longest works of literature in the English language is a video game fan fiction holding over 4 million words across 220 chapters. Which beloved gaming franchise is the fan fiction written about?
Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Brothers.
Yes, it is Smash Brothers. Good job, folks. So you guys knew, like, of these obscure, like, crazy, weird facts, you guys knew quite a bit of them.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a lot of fun.
And so thank you to Andrew Reiner of Game Informer. He wrote this article in July of 2017, and it is titled 25 Fun Facts About Video Games You Likely Didn't Know. That is by Andrew Reiner. So thank you, Andrew, for this mid-seg.
There you go.
Isn't he the villain
yeah.
from BioShock?
That was really good. The only one I think I vaguely knew was the last one. I couldn't remember if it was Sonic or Smash Bros.
Two other two other little fun fact things that came up that I just didn't include because it was getting like I didn't want to take too long, was that Master Chief is a radio DJ. He was named after Steve Downes, who's a radio DJ dating back to the late 1970s, which I thought was very funny, but didn't know. And then one more that was specifically for Anthony.
Ooh.
Also, in Halo 4, apparently there's a cameo by Conan O'Brien and Andy Richter, where if you stand near particular people on the space shuttle, you can hear them having a conversation together. They voice two of the random people on the space shuttle.
Okay,
That's funny.
interesting. Yeah, Conan ended up being in Death Stranding years later.
Right.
So he's,
Okay, Anthony, ready?
Frequent star.
Yeah.
The satisfying ding that rings out when a Fat Man nuke is launched in Fallout 3 is actually the lunch bell from the Bethesda Softworks cafeteria.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, I read that when I thought of you, but I was like, I don't think anybody would actually get this one. So I didn't include it. But and it also says the Fat Man itself is modeled after an actual nuke launcher called the M388 Davy Crockett Tactical Nuclear Recoilless Rifle, which was developed in the 1950s.
That is so aggressively American.
It is, but I thought it was funny that the ding for the nuke was a lunch bell in their cafeteria. I thought that was very funny.
That's really fun.
That's very silly.
And that is your mid segment. I hope I did Bigfoot proud.
You did good. I think whenever we find him, I know that people have been looking forever, but whenever we find him, he will be very proud.
I heard he was last spotted on an island somewhere, so I think that
in the woods in Vancouver, in the
In a Skechers having an altercation with the store employee.
Right.
That was really fun. I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please be sure to tell Matt that it was the best mid-seg ever, and he's not allowed to do them anymore.
Boss is just taking so many.
He's
strays
fine.
right
He's fine. He knows that I have endless love for him, so he'll survive.
And with that, let's get back to the weird games. And I am up next here. Long, long ago, everything existed in this world. But then, everything was lost, and no one remembers what happened back then. We then see a lonely block with a top hat who is sad that he is alone. He is called Mayor. He sits on a rock contemplating, only to discover an even tinier rock in the distance. The screen displays the word Discovery, with 2 poop emojis on either side.
Oh my god.
When the Mayor picks up this tiny rock, it grows limbs and waves at the Mayor. The words, "My first friend," once again flanked by poop emojis, appears on the screen. By the way, the rock's name is Linda. This is Wattam, developed by Funamina and designed by Kieta Takahashi, the creator of Katamari. So I have so much to say about this game. I just want to start at the tippy top here. I played this game back in January. I've always saw this game and was like, this looks weird. I'm into it. I knew that it was by the Katamari guy. And so I was just like, I'm into trying this. And so I played it in January, experienced it. I walked away from it being like, all right, that was a video game. And I loved it in its very unique way. A few months later, the good people over at People Make Games, which is a YouTube channel that kind of goes deep into the video game industry and kind of talking about the developer experiences, and unfortunately spotlights the very difficult nature of being developer sometimes when you have shitty bosses. There is one particular video that, if I can remember, I'll try to remember to either put it in the description below or just look up People Make Games. They make great content. And it is they went into a deep dive of a few indie studios that had trouble at the top. And one of the biggest spotlights that they put in that video was on Funamina, and on a woman named Robin Hunicke, I want to say his name. It's Hunicke. I want to say it's like Hunicke or something along those lines.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So she is actually, I'm just gonna say, the first game on her Wikipedia that is listed that is her notable work is My Sims. I just want to start there.
Oh my god.
She has worked also on Boom Blocks and Journey and a few others. She started this studio up with someone else. I don't know what the guy's name is. He's kind of irrelevant to the story. But apparently she has emotionally manipulated and abused her developers, and it's not good in any way. And ultimately, that report, they say that they're claiming that report was to blame for the studio shutting down about a few weeks later. That was probably the plan either way. The report had nothing to do with that. They just wanted probably a scapegoat for it. But anyways, so supposedly Wattam went through hell with its development, to the point where Takahashi quarreled real bad with Hanaki, to the point that they ended up, or I think he ended up building a physical barricade between their sides of the office. And
wow.
And so she ended up withdrawing active development from the game. So I'm hoping that ultimately her hands were not as much on this game as it was Takahashi. Takahashi seems like I love Kanamari. I love my experience with that game. He seems like a good dude, so I'm hoping that it seemed like he had good reason to separate himself from her. Yeah, it's wild. It's a wild story. I definitely want to share it with you guys too. I think that whole documentary is it's like a 40-minute video, really fascinating. It talks about it talks about the people who made Gone Home and Florence. That's it. But all those being Annapurna published games, by the way, and so Annapurna also got some flack for that. Anyways, besides the point, let's talk about the video game. So Wattam is a sandbox game about completing objectives, with very few words. That basically you kind of get an idea with certain context as these characters get introduced throughout the game. So you end up starting out on this like empty grass field as the mayor, and everything that I described at the intro is pretty much how the game opens. The very first line that I mentioned, where it said long ago everything existed in the world, but then everything was lost, that first like two sentences is actually how the game opens, with a cinematic that's like a little like artsy thing, and then they kind of jump into the game after that. And it's this game with dialogue here and there, but a lot of it is just these characters who are running around. By the way, Wattam is a mashup of the Tamil word Wattam and the Japanese word wa, both of which means circle, and that'll come into play later. So all these characters are different things. Like you have you are introduced as the blocky mayor. You get introduced to the little rock, and then you realize the big rock that you were sitting on in the beginning of the game, that also has a face, it is sentient. And then you pluck flowers out of the ground. There's one image that I shared with you guys on the document that is the one of the little rock, Linda, actually wearing a flower that was popped off of the flower's head. There's just cute silly things that are happening during this whole sequence. All the voice acting is all children. Like it sounds like kids playing and crying, and all these little playful sounds. Like it's very like it's little children playing around. That's kind of I don't know. I hope the children got compensated for it, because they're very heavily in this game, but we'll see. The main theme of this game, I want to touch upon that. It basically plays a lot throughout the game, but for the most part, the two singers of the song, all they're singing is laws in place of the lyrics that they ended up putting into the game later that ends up playing out during like the credit sequence. That song I unironically love. It is the most generic, like when I'm including the lyrics in it is the most like generic story of a journey. Like you don't even know what journey they're going on. You don't really have any idea what they're doing. They're just describing like being separated and then coming back together. And it's a sweet song, and I kind of like it, but it's not anything to blow anyone's socks off either. But it's a very consistent thing, and I'm just curious what you guys thought of the song when you heard it.
It was something.
It was definitely interesting.
It's called the theme, if I remember, I think Gabe, you said it earlier, it's called 6 years. Yeah, a long time, the 6 years. And so then that's playing in the background. There's also, basically as you're going through the game, you are taking control of each of these characters. You don't just play as the mayor. You can take control of the rocks, you can take control of the flowers, and then you get introduced to more and more different interesting characters. And each character has their own interesting ability. Like the mayor has a magic bomb under his hat, and everyone loves it.
As a mayor does.
Yeah, and so everyone gets it's really funny because you end up like you notice the bomb, and like all the characters get so excited, and it sounds like they all sound like children, like heavy breathing and excitement. It's so strange. It is so strange. And then there's like a nose shows up at one point and comes flying in, and the ability that the nose has is to sniff things out of the ground. If it sniffs the ground, sometimes anything could pop out. In one particular scenario, like an acorn pops out, and that acorn can then grow into a tree after everyone forms a circle around it, which ends up being a very core aspect of this game, where you are dancing around, where you could get everyone to dance around in a circle by holding hands with each other and spinning around. Then this tree can grow up, and it can eat the characters and turn them into fruit, which is very traumatic in many ways, but that's just it.
This game's having a normal one.
And then a walking, talking mouth shows up and can eat the poop. And then they turn them into poop. And then the poop hangs out for a little while. And then a walking, talking toilet shows up. And it will also consume the poop. And then it also has a buddy that is a pipe. And the pipe will, the toilet eats the poop. And then the poop comes out of the pipe as golden poop.
Wow.
That's a lot. You said poop a lot.
It's a lot of poop going on. This game is very poop-oriented. I already brought up the holding hands and forming circles to trigger specific sequences. There's also the other core aspect is that there will be a lot of moments in the game where you'll be asked to stack the characters, so you have to like take control of each individual character and like have them like climb on top of each other and try to stack up as high as possible. And everything in this game is sentient. That includes the platform that you're standing on, and at times throughout the game, new platforms come in, like a bowling alley or a giant toilet or a picnic table. Things just constantly are being introduced and being brought into the world, and you may be wondering, is there a plot to this game? Yes, there is. And let me tell you, it gets serious. There is literally a sequence where you go in, there's multiple times in the game where you go into like a dark cave, a dark cavern, and you discover something, another sentient being who has a story to tell, a piece of the story that you're trying to kind of like, piece together. And it gets like really sad. Like the one quote from one character is, "Can we learn to cherish what we love before it is lost?" And then literally 5 seconds later, you leave the cave, and in big bold letters, you will see the words, "Welcome back, chair," as a giant flying chair comes into frame in the game. It is a game of contrast, as you can see. And then I think my favorite thing is, without spoiling it, because boy howdy, I don't know if I would encourage you to buy the game at this point, because I don't know where that money's going, because the studio is gone. I'm guessing it goes to Annapurna. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but there is an end sequence that happens in this game where you will have a dialogue options. And one option is just the words, "It's okay." The other 3 options are paragraphs long that they cover up the entire fucking screen, and you actually have to just sit and take the time to read each one to see. And it's just, this game is so much and yet nothing at all at the same time, and I'm kind of in love with it. It is the strangest experience that I've ever had in a game, and I cannot believe it took me so long to kind of realize maybe this should be the game I talk about. Even the achievements, guys, they just go on about explaining things way too much. If I go to the Steam achievements, there's a achievement that's called Snow, Snow, Snow. And the description of the achievement is, "Congratulations, refrigerator brought back snow, and the poops and ice cream cone brought refrigerator home. This trophy is filled with gratitude and commemorates all their efforts."
Oh my god.
And then there's also there's one more that I thought was really silly. I'm trying to see if I can find it again. There's also I think it's, "Congratulations, this is a trophy commemorating the recovery of Phone's trade tool, the receiver, from the sun. Now, Phone can make international calls to their heart's content." This is the game! This is the fucking video game! And it is absolutely incredible in so many ways. I both recommend it and also say maybe for $5 if it's on sale, which it frequently is. I've talked a lot. There's a lot that I wish I could have spoken in more clear sentences about, but what do you guys think of what you have seen of Wattam?
There's a common denominator, right? It's the guy who also did Katamari.
Yes, yeah.
So what a brilliant, precious mind that we must protect and make sure nothing happens, because if that person can crank out gems like this, and with all of the weird, delicious goodness that comes, even the song that you had us listen to is it gives me big Katamari vibes. Even when you said there are la la la's in the place of lyric, that is an overlap. So I am grateful for the creator. I'm sorry, I forget the name that you mentioned.
Kieta Takahashi.
That person, Takahashi. Thank you. Thank you for doing the Lord's work here for us. So
I do also want to point out, I read an interview leading up to this segment with Takahashi, and he says they talking about this contrast between silly and serious. He said that it's a byproduct of his own personality. Quote, "Usually people have..." This is from The Verge, by the way. I want to give credit. The Verge did an interview with him back when this game first released. "Usually people have different layers in their mind. Even me, I have lots of layers. Each layer of Kieta Takahashi has a different perspective and different thoughts. I don't play video games, but I like to make video games. There are so many contradictions in my mind. That's why in Wattam there are different things in the game, but I worry about the player being confused about that. But for some reason, I need it." This man is amazing. I absolutely adore him. Anyone else have anything just to react to what Wattam is?
I appreciate the colors and the art style. It's very refreshing.
Yeah. I genuinely enjoyed my time with this game, just with how wild it was and how very, very, very unique it is. I think, and it is in many ways wholesome. Putting the poop aside, I guess. But even I guess you could make the argument that poop could be wholesome in this instance. But it is such a strange experience. But I think it's one worth having if you just want a time. Also, if you partake, maybe the devil's lettuce wouldn't help either when you play this game. You know what I mean? Just
the devil's lettuce.
The disco asparagus.
The jazz cabbage.
Yeah, all that stuff. But yes.
The country cauliflower.
Wow. Yes. Yes. It's a lot. It's a lot. But that's what Tom. It's a lot. And I thank you so much, Takahashi. I hope he never stops making video games. I don't know where he is now, but I hope he keeps making them. Anyways, last but certainly not least, we are gonna move out of the city and go and live on Uncle Hayseed's farm. Kelcie, take it away.
All right, guys. I feel as though I set a very high bar with our Friendship Gardens episode and my recounting of my experience with My Little Pony's Friendship Gardens. However, this game that I'm about to present to you, I was playing not long after my experiences with the Rainbow Bridge to the Castle in the Sky, but I could not possibly convey in the amount of time I have here tonight the amount of weird and all of the little niche little pockets of fucky wucky that exist in the Sims Bustin Out, specifically the handheld GBA version. So just a little tech spec background info for y'all. Its developer was Maxis, publisher was EA Electronic Arts. Electronic Arts eventually bought out Maxis, but this was published in 2003. December 2003 is actually when it came out. The ESRB rating is E for everyone for the GBA. I fucking contest the shit out of that because the insinuations, sexual innuendos, and general adult content that exists in this, it should never have been rated E for everyone. And yet, there I was, young little Kelcie, playing the hell out of this. Most of it going over my head, honestly. But nonetheless, found deep satisfaction and humor in it now as an adult, having replayed it recently. So my lovely husband Anthony set me up with an emulator, and I just played through almost the entire game, but I fucked it up for myself with screwing around with mods. Could not ultimately finish the game on my save, which was devastating. But then my brother Chris came in clutch at the end, played it through himself, and then we got to experience the ending together. So front to back, top to bottom, holy shit, this was a wild ride. Oh my god, this was so weird. Oh my god, there's so many little nooks and crannies of amazing. And so I'm just gonna start giving information over. So essentially the premise of the game is that you are your player character. You get to choose some of your qualities, some visual aspects, but we're talking an early 2000s GBA game, so impressive for the time, I'm sure, but overall not a ton of personalization that can go on. But essentially you do show up on Uncle Hayseed's farm in Sim Valley, and the lore is that you're coming from the big city, you're moving in with Uncle Hayseed for the summer. It's supposed to be for the summer, quote unquote. I found out, I didn't realize that. Anyway, it feels like you're there for about 3 weeks, turn the town completely upside down, and then are kicked out. So you show up, you start having to do little odd jobs for Uncle Hayseed. You eventually grow beyond the farm and start doing little odd jobs and tasks for people in the immediate town. You start playing mini games that are in different locations. There are different specific locations in the whole of Sim Valley, and you eventually unlock the entire map. Your the tasks and assignments and missions become harder and harder and harder until you play through all 5 chapters of the game. Little things, they're just little funky things that happen throughout the game that are very silly. Like, for example, there are recyclables that you collect that you just find around on the ground in the game. And so they have descriptions for all the items in your pocket. So one of the things you can pick up are nuclear fuel rods, which say these rods fuel a nuclear reactor. For some odd reason, they're laying around waiting for you to pick them up. Though this kind of radiation should make you glow, in this game you can safely pick them up. So it's like a little meta too that they do. But
Sure.
then even funnier on top of that is immediately next to the fuel rods, you'll see that there's a 3-eared mouse that you can pick up as well. And that description says, these mice have 3 ears, whether caused by an errant genetic experiment or the effects of those fuel rods you're collecting, we may never know. But someone will want these things gathered up for safekeeping. So I think that it's funny how the game doesn't take itself too seriously and is very meta about everything. Possibly the most entertaining and bizarre aspect of the game is how you interact with other characters in the game. So ultimately, whenever you interact with a NPC, they all have their own unique personalities and unique representations. And in other, I believe in the console versions of this game, and then also in the sequel to this game, the Herbs, Sims in the City, each person kind of represents a particular niche type of what? Oh my god, a click. Like there's clicks. So while those clicks are more specifically mapped out and people are actually assigned by name to them in other games, this is more just assumed. You have your people who are into the fitness, or your nerds, or your music artsy people, or whatever. But one of my favorites is Detective Dan DeMann. But like, you essentially go to talk to somebody and you get 5 specific options to speak with them in that moment. You pick whichever you think is best, and you're either going to have a neutral, positive, or negative reaction to that person. And your one of your goals in the game is to build up or build down people's relationship bars with you. But some of the things that you can say to people are like very obviously sexual.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you can flirt with people, but some of it's like a little much for an E rating, and also some of it is just downright rude, and some of it didn't age well either. So for Dan DeMann, something that you can say to him is, if I do something naughty, will you use your handcuffs? But you can also go pig. And I just think that that's incredible.
That's good.
Yes, but I just think really funny.
Yeah.
There's one of the player characters that you can interact with is Ephraim Earl, who is a ghost in this game and also in the sequel game, which I always think is a fun, quirky part of the game. Again, very bizarre. Another thing you can say, this is a little out of order, my screenshots, but another thing you can say to Detective Dan DeMann is that a gun in your pocket? ... So again, things that are like rated E, but like somebody didn't pay attention when they did that. I did see that there was another, I think it was called, never mind, I don't remember, but apparently there's another platform where you could play this game, and they rated it T for teen. And it was still the handheld, but I think it was in the UK or something. Their rating system was different or whatever. Another bizarre thing in the game is something called the Velocity Rooster. And it's supposed to be, I don't know if Velocity's based off of like electricity or Velocirooster and Velociraptor. I'm assuming the latter. But the legendary Velocirooster created in a Virtuchem lab accident 23 years ago. The Velocirooster has genius level intelligence, a large ego, and a nasty temper. And for most of the game, if you're walking around, if you happen to run into the Velocirooster, you faint on impact with the Velocirooster. Which is also the mechanic in the game. If any of your sim bars go too low, that would cause you to faint out in public, or if you go to repair an item and you faint, for whatever reason, when you faint, you make a terrible sound, but then a purple genie comes out of literally nowhere and claps its hands, and you wake up in the hospital. I don't remember this genie being a fact. I think it might have been in Herbs. I don't know if it's in any of the other Sims content.
It's only as if you die. It's only if you die. That's the only time it ever shows up constantly.
No, I understand that, but is it in? So is it? That's throughout all of the Sims games.
That's through Herbs at least.
Right. So there's no die mechanic. You just faint. Right. But like, so whenever you faint in Herbs and this, it only shows up in this one too. I do not know if it happens beyond those 2 games, and if they're in the console version as well as this, I have no idea. But it is like so hard for me to like make sure that I actually cover all the weird little shit. Again, a lot of it's like in the descriptions of things. So like, if you go to the docks and go to buy a treat at the little dock stand, there's something that you can buy called a dolphin pop. And it says like old salty jokes that these are made from quote unquote real baby dolphins. These ice cold treats are just frozen juice. Really. So it's like these weird little shit that's just everywhere. One of my favorite characters in the game is called Giuseppe Mezzoalto, and he's supposed to be like this mobster character, and he shows up in both handheld games. I don't know if he shows up in other things in the series, but you essentially are somebody that he sells like stolen shit out of a van in an alleyway at night, but then otherwise he helps you move your things in to various buildings, which I think is hysterical because the implication is he can just always break into everybody's house at any given time and nobody questions it. until a later mission that involves him. But that's what he looks like. And anytime you come into the alley when he's selling things, this really, really generic and stereotypical Italian like accordion and fiddle music is playing. It's fantastic. So yeah, I just don't know how to properly convey how weirdly bizarre this game is, other than getting right to the end. So if anybody really has any issues with spoilers and would not like to be involved with this next part of the conversation, you have my permission to leave. However, if you'd like to say, this is worth it. So
before you do the end segment,
yes,
I just want initial reactions from anyone who has not played this game. Like just surface level. What do you guys think?
I was actually able to watch the majority of the game through your guys' streams, so I thoroughly enjoyed the experience.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All I was gonna say was that I think my favorite thing was watching Kelcie play through it, and the game it's an old game, so it's not gonna have a lot of quality of life features that you'd wish it would have. And so there's a lot of grinding that happens in the game. So one of my favorite things of watching Kelcie play through it is that there's a few missions closer to the end of the game where you have to try and piss people off to the point where your relationship is at -50 on the meter. It was so difficult to get those characters to -50, mainly the fisherman, because I think I didn't have as much problem with the fisherman, but I think the reason is I think he was in love with Kelsey's character.
Yes. And
so I think any insult he just took as like, I guess, being too horny, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. And like there are certain things that you know that if you're not very close with somebody that they'll have a poor reaction to, and explicitly that is trying to tickle everybody for whatever fucking reason. In this game, you can literally threaten to tickle the shit out of everyone. So like this exact screenshot I'm about to share is of the fisherman that Christopher was talking about, Phil Maclean. And at this point, I don't even have like a high bar with him, but I'm like, I'll bet you're ticklish. And like the face on this guy is like, he's like so ready. Like he's so aroused and he's like, tickle me, mama. Like it's so like he wants it. Where other people, if you're like, I'll bet you're ticklish, they're like, fuck off, please. Like they do not like it, but he likes literally everything I did.
It was incredible.
Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I happen to have
Anthony, what were you going to say?
So just another thread I'm going to pull here. If you took Matt and you digitized him into a little DS game, I think he would look like Phil Maclean.
He's talking.
I disagree. I do not have brown hair, my friend.
Okay, Matt, we literally went through this. Like, he said this while I was playing it, and Gabe and I were like, what are you talking about? And nothing that we said could convince him otherwise, and, like, we do not see it. We don't see it.
My mustache is connected to the rest of my beard.
But also, like, we just don't see it, like, period. Like, regardless of facial hair, like, we don't see it, but he's, like, gonna die on this hill.
Like,
he literally was like, the head shape, the hair color, and we're like,
since when? Not my head shape though.
And like, since when does Matt have auburn hair? He's a blonde.
I'm on the hill. I have a knife. Come on up.
No, you get to die alone. You get to die alone with the hill. You're up there. Congrats. Anyway, I also shared the link to the trailer because it is like chef's kiss. Delicious early 2000s bullshit, the trailer for the GBA version, especially the fact
Windows Movie Maker,
but especially in the fact that it is like actually meant to look like you were playing a game. Like it has the border, it has the bezel of the top part of a Game Boy Advance that you're viewing the trailer in. Like, so it is, and it gives you gameplay. The song that's playing is like a very classic daytime song for the game. It is wonderful to watch. The actual words that come up over the trailer are in Comic Sans font. Like
yes.
it is unreal. It is unreal. And then just to go off of the tickling thing also, and for comparison's sake, I'm also going to drop in the trailer for the Sims Bustin' Out console version, which is wild and does not at all follow the same narrative of the GBA game, does not end the same way, but it actually says at one point, like, one of the things that you can do is, I think it explicitly highlights that you can tickle people. And again, I'm not really sure why that's such a prevalent thing.
The obsession with these developers.
Yeah, I don't know why the tickling is like a thing, but anyway.
Step 1 in the PS2 trailer is create hot sim.
Yeah. No, this is wonderful brain scratching. It's like brain SMR for anything that you'd want to experience as pure early 2000s media. But absolutely bizarre. And I'm realizing that all of my little bizarre facts, for the most part, other than the one that was from World War II, but went through 2004, almost all those weird little facts are also from the early 2000s. So I don't know if we just reached the point in modern history where everything from 20 years ago is now bizarre for us. It is. So, welcome to the future, I guess. But what I'm also going to drop in here is my last YouTube video I'm going to drop. Unless anybody else. Yes, wait. Yes, there's actually a thing sorry, Anthony just posted a screenshot timestamp for the official trailer of the Sims Bustin' Out console version. They have things where you are literally farting in people's faces. As a means to, like, I don't know if it's erotica. I don't know if it's like, don't be my friend, I'm going to fart in your face. I don't know, because I didn't play the console version. I think Anthony might have played the console version of this.
I played the console version of the herbs,
Yeah. All right, so we're just going to, the gnomes are in the Bustin' Out, but just like as a decoration, they apparently serve as a full means of gameplay in the console version, but we're not talking about the console version. So now the last YouTube thing I'm going to drop in here is the finale of the Bustin' Out GBA game. And I asked everybody to not experience this before the show tonight so that I could verbally explain it, but I'm providing it for you in the event that you want to have it on and look at it as you're listening to me, mute the video, and that way you can follow me here. So, and this is spoilers. If anybody doesn't want the spoilers, leave. But essentially you get to a point in the game where you've had to befriend a mass amount of people. You no longer can find Uncle Hayseed after a particular mission. He's no longer at his house. But something that did happen is that you made a significant scientific discovery, which was required for one of the missions, in which you found a rocket ship inside of Uncle Hayseed's barn, which is the barn that you originally stayed in the beginning of the game. You suddenly walk in to find a trapdoor that you hadn't seen previously. And in going down, you find underneath the barn a rocket ship. You take the rocket ship, because that's what you're supposed to do, and you go up to Uncle Hayseed and you're like, hey, what's with that rocket ship that was in the barn? And he's like, I don't know anything about it. And then he just disappears. He's gone. He panics. He's like, you didn't see anything. And he fucking leaves. So now you have the rocket ship. A couple other things happen, and you're essentially prompted for the last mission in the game, which requires you to go to the mansion, which is where you're currently living, because throughout the game you level up your housing forcefully. They force you to do it over time. And this is the last. And you go into the house to see that there is suddenly a rocket launch pad in the backyard. And you're like, guess I should put the rocket down. So you put the rocket down, but then you have to repair it. And so you repair the rocket, and it's still sitting there. Then after you repair the rocket, I believe it pans to the house, and you see Uncle Hayseed is just standing in your house with a exclamation point over him, like you need to speak to him. So you go up to Uncle Hayseed, and he's like, hold on, I gotta go to my screenshots, 1 second. He's like, wow, look at you. You made it. You've made it so far in this town. I'm so proud of you. And you're like, thanks, Uncle. That's great. Fantastic. Thank you. And he's like, and you're on the ballot for mayor, which is something that happens over the course of the game. And I'm like, yes, I am. And then Uncle Hayseed's like, yeah, shame you gotta leave. And you're like, what? And he's like, yeah, you need to go. It's time for you to leave. You're done. and you're kind of just sort of like looking at him, and he's like, this is no longer your home. I guess your mother didn't tell you that many years ago in the cornfields, I found you and that rocket just in the cornfields. And it's, not a coincidence that you restored it because you're one of a kind and that's your rocket and you need to get in it and leave. And you're like standing and you're like, what? It is the most abrupt and quick interaction. It is so bizarre. And you don't even have choices for the dialogue. You just have to say like, I don't want to leave. I love it. It's my home. And then he's just like, you know what? The rocket's restored. Like, it's time for you to go. If you're not in that rocket, when it takes off, you're going to regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually you'll regret it. It's so weird. It's so strange, right? Like, I just can't, like, it just comes out of nowhere. And for me and Chris, at the time that we would do the finale, because I remember it from one of my first playthroughs, when you are leveling up your relationship with people in the game, as long as you are friends with them and not romanced with them, there are these digitized smiley faces floating across the screen behind the character as like a loading screen almost behind them. So the entire time that he's threatening you that you need to get the hell out of Sim Valley, these smiley faces are just really ominously and creepily floating behind him. I'm going to send a screenshot. Really, really weird and very unsettling. And so essentially the dialogue ends with you saying like, I understand, because you have no other option. And then it forces you into a cutscene where you're no longer controlling your character. Everybody that you've made friends with in the town is suddenly at the mansion, and they've made like almost like a wedding reception, everybody on either side of the aisle, and they're all like cheering you on to go to the rocket. I don't know why everybody's involved. I didn't know everybody knew this. Like, very bizarre, very strange. You go all the way, Daddy Big Bucks is standing there because he gave you some sort of grant for something, and you load yourself in the rocket and you shoot up into the sky. Then there's a frame where it's like zoomed out and looking over the earth. Your rocket goes up in the air. Then it like makes a noise, 180s, and dives back into the earth, and the game is over. Credits roll.
And you just hear the, ah!
You hear the screaming noise, and that's literally it. The game ends. Credits roll. And it all happens with like under 2 minutes.
It was insane to watch.
Like that is literally just the finale. That's what happens.
It was one of the endings of all time.
It is just such a strange game. Like, as soon as we said bizarre and I wasn't quite sure what to talk about, and Christopher mentioned offhand to me, he's like, oh, remember that you like have never really spoken about the Sims GBA games. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. And at first I was considering doing Herbs because that was the one I was more familiar with, the one that I had played both the GBA and the DS versions, and really loved some aspects of it that I knew were bizarre and that I could really talk about. But when I got the emulator and started playing, I was like, you know what? I'll just start with Bustin' Out because I don't remember for sure if I've ever actually completely finished it. Man, am I glad that I did. I'm so fucking glad that I played it because it is going to go down as one of the most bizarre games I've ever played. And I'm kind of glad that I never played the console version because I really love the charm and like succinctity and sizing and restriction of the GBA version. Yeah.
I'm with you. Like, I feel like I'm on the side of I wish they did more Sims spin-offs that were story based, because when they make them, they're fun. Like, I loved playing through Bustin' Out again leading into this podcast, and then I played the Herbs again. Like, I finally beat the Herbs a few years ago and thought that was just... none of them are great. They're not, like... Again, they're games that you're going to have to grind a little bit for. You have these MIDI games that could feel a little repetitive. You have to keep taking care of yourself. The dialogue can kind of just feel, like, monotonous and not really go anywhere. But it's just a silly, weird world to go into and enjoy. And, like, I love the Sims GBA games. Obviously, we've talked about My Sims on here. Like, all these games that, you know, that I like, they lean now so far into The Sims 4 and making that great and constantly adding DLC to that. And I just wish that some resources would go towards making a single-player story again of some kind. I don't think it would be in My Sims. I don't think it would be on the level of what Bustin' Out or the Herbs would be, but just something different, something unique, because I just love how much that they embrace the weird. And I love it. These are nostalgia fuel for me that have growing up playing these games as a little kid, and probably most of the jokes that especially did not age well probably going over my head.
So I only found one thing that really didn't age well, other than the weird sexual harassment that occurs. But there is one line at which you ask a cowboy character where all the Indians have gone, and that definitely would not have made its way into a modern edit.
Not good.
And is not good. Also, stop laughing. Not good. Also,
I'm laughing at the fact that it is aged so poorly.
I know. And then another thing was like just a couple of things that I'm finding in my screenshots. One of the insults that you can hurl at somebody is calling them a programmer, which I think is just really like programmer. Like I don't know. I think that's really funny. Also, didn't even get to touch base on the fact that there's an entire sewer system under the town that you unlock that you can use to get around everywhere, and that people just like fucking crawl through the sewers as a means of transport in the game. Just incredible. And one of the things that you can say early on to Uncle Hayseed is you can ask him to pull your finger, which is just another little definitely a potty humor part of the game is a thing.
And real quick, just to touch on the mini games, like one of the main things in this
yes
game is that you have to grind through the mini games, and that's how you earn your money in the game essentially. The one that I personally love the most is the one that you're introduced to out of the gate, which is Uncle Hayseed wants you to mow his lawn. Now I'm just referencing Kelcie. Like we've now done this thing where we all name ourselves in Discord after the game that we're talking about. But basically how the mowing game works is that you just mow like these patches of grass that like pop up over the course of the game. There's also these flower beds that you have to avoid hitting, because otherwise you'll lose money that you have earned.
And like a substantial amount of money. Like it's a problem.
Yes.
It's a problem.
And the mower doesn't really control well. It's like it's a whole thing. You can level up, and basically there's promotions in the game. So if you have a certain amount of skills and you do well enough in a mini game, you could get a promotion. As you get more promotions in the mowing mini game, you get they add more difficulty to it, where there's more flower beds that you have to avoid, and at some point they add chickens to it, where the chickens are just running around. You don't know where they're gonna run around,
and the assumption would be that you need to fucking avoid them, because oh my god, don't kill the chicken, don't run over the chicken, you'll lose money.
And no. You could just mow over the chicken and nothing bad would happen.
No penalty for running over chickens,
which
is why
you don't slow
my
down.
name is that.
Yeah, you don't slow down. No penalty for running over chicken is the name of the Kelsey's name on Discord. There is no penalty whatsoever for running over the chickens. You could just keep going as if nothing bad happened. But the flower bed, that's with the last straw.
Don't touch the precious roses.
That's
the chickens. Totally fair game. But yeah, and like you level up in all of the games, and so for the pizza mini game, if you get to level 2 is doughy. You're level 2 doughy. And I don't know. It's just there's so much.
So many layers.
There's just so much. There's so many layers. And I agree with you on the developing something new and interesting in modern Sims era. Because I've been playing Sims 4 for months now, and literally the most interesting thing for me is just to log in, create a new save, build a new house, and then I never progress the character because I am not compelled at all by any other part of the game. I literally am just into building the houses. And one last thing, if I can just mention it, because I forgot that this person was even in the Sims Bustin' Out GBA. I only remember them from the Herbs. There is a character that shows up randomly in the Game Boy Advance or Nintendo DS versions of only Sims Bustin' Out and only the Herbs Sims in the City. I do not believe that they ever show up anywhere in any other Sims platform game. And they are a secret ninja that shows up in the very, very, very early morning of the hours, and you can pay for random weird little things that are bonuses in the game. And it's much more prevalent in the Herbs Sims in the City, but apparently they were also in Sims Bustin' Out. And my favorite thing about this character is that they are a secret ninja whose name is Heidi Shadows. And Heidi Shadows exists in both games. I completely forgot about them being in Bustin' Out, but they are absolutely there, and they quite literally just stand there, and you can interact with them only when you can find them.
They give you smoothies that give you skill points. It's called the Cheat Ninja, I believe. Colloquially, or whatever.
I do remember it from Herbs, but I forgot that it was even a thing, and I absolutely never came across them in Bustin' Out when I played. But to be fair, they're only available for an hour on any given day, and only twice a week. And that game, the timing mechanic in the game goes so quickly that you can go from one corner of the game to the other and have spent an hour doing so.
Yep.
So.
It's a lot.
Anyway, I know this wasn't as knee-slappingly hilarious as the Friendship Gardens, but wow, was this something?
It's an experience, absolutely.
It is.
Yeah. Any final thoughts from anyone on The Sims Bustin' Out?
Kelcie, if you do like the building homes aspect of things, I 100% recommend playing My Sims because that's basically most of the game.
Cool. Isn't that an origin story of how this little friendship group was founded?
Pretty much. Essentially.
It's among the games, I would say.
That's precious.
Yeah.
You can get it on Origin.
Oh, cool.
If you want to get it legally.
Well, we're all about being on the up and up here, except for
right.
Walsh's little side thing that we talked about earlier. But
God damn it. All right. Well, that is that. That is your weird games. We are approaching our 2-year anniversary, folks.
Woo!
So next episode, I had a few ideas that I was thinking about, but I started talking to others, and I think seems like people would be enthusiastic about a gaming coop about party games. So basically, games that you find fun to play with friends, maybe through Coach Co-op or otherwise. So let's do that. Party games will be our August episode of The Coop.
Woo!
And yeah, thank you all so much for listening. Anything that anyone would like to say before we go?
I actually really love Walsh very much, and I'm sorry for everything I've said that was defamatory.
I'm sure he doesn't mind, but at the same time,
I legally want to put out there, this is a legal statement. I am hereby genuinely sorry for anything I said that was defamatory, other than what was the truth.
Goddamn. All right. Anyways, yeah. Thank you all so much for listening. Game on. The Gaming Coop is brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Follow us on Twitter at The Gaming Coop, or follow our other work at Team Chaos Pods.